This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Meghan is getting exactly what she craves the most, and that's attention. So fine, let's give it to her. But let's also remind everyone exactly why people can't stand her. As I've said many times before, it's not about race and never has been. The irony is that Meghan is the one obsessed with using race as both shield and sword. She's the one with the actual issue. What so many people actually take issue with is her behavior. Vindictive, manipulative, and relentlessly self-serving. You don't get to cry victim when you're the one pulling the strings and hurting others as the perpetrator. And rightfully so, people are angry. And the backlash that we're seeing right now is deserving. These passive, aggressive stunts and juvenile games have worn thin. And finally, the backlash from some media outlets is what is expected. But somehow I believe she knew that it was going to cause controversy, and that's why she did it. I hate to break it to you, Meghan. You're not better than anyone else. And the desperation for validation oozes from every PR move that you make. The more you play these games, the more transparent and pitiful and pathetic you look. You see, Meghan will never be Diana. And deep down, she knows it. That's why she seems so hell-bent on tearing down Diana's legacy, out of bitterness, jealousy, and most of all, insecurity. Meghan loathes the public doesn't see her on the same level as Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and adored just like Diana. Instead, she's trapped in a bizarre performance of mothering Harry, using his unresolved issues to keep him emotionally tethered and diminished. You know, I said last year, at the very beginning, we were entering the Diana divorce era. And it looks like we've arrived. I don't buy for a second that these two are truly together anymore, and for Harry, it is now a business arrangement. This recent PR Paris stunt right near the tunnel where Diana died felt like a targeted jab at Harry because I don't think he's under her thumb anymore. It looked calculated, cruel even. Meghan seems furious that the end is possibly near and that Harry might return to his family without her. I think that's her worst nightmare, especially if she has no one waiting in the wings to replace him. The timing of that Paris stunt right before Harry's New York appearance feels like one last emotional hit job to make sure all eyes are on them when they come to New York. This bitterness and nastiness that we're seeing with Meghan all circles back to status, something Meghan's obsessed with and Harry can't deliver. He may still be somewhat protected, but she's not, and it's clearly eating at her. You can see the resentment in her body language, the disgust when she looks at him, and she hates knowing that without him, she's nothing. I think going to Paris alone was to show everyone she can command a global audience without him, which we're now seeing has backfired spectacularly. She probably feels she's the one carrying their image, their relevance, their brand, and resents him for it. Remember the recent Star magazine that I read last week, planting those little seeds? I think it's now playing out in front of all of us. From the outside, this has got to be emotionally exhausting for Harry, living with this toxicity day in, day out. We only see small doses, and even we are exhausted and mentally fatigued. Imagine having to deal with someone who is all the time self-serving and just constantly plotting and scheming. Do I feel sorry for Harry? Absolutely not. You know, we're making a big stink over Meghan's douchebaggery, but he's not innocent in all of this. He enabled this monster and the behavior, as well as joined in the smearing, silencing, and cruelty towards others. So if he's finally facing the fallout, well, it's a mess of his own making and he needs to face the consequences. Life is a bitch, and if you act like one, be prepared to get treated accordingly. So no, I don't feel bad for Harry, and you shouldn't either, because that is what the media now is trying to do with pulling on those heartstrings. Don't fall for it. Now, for all the Sussex Squad, terrorists getting paid, and the people behind this agent of chaos, don't play like you don't know why Meghan Markle is so wildly disliked. If she didn't have money, none of those ass lickers would be around to support her and defend her. It's not about race. It's not about jealousy. It's not about social media, echo chambers, and, those algorithms. And it's not about hate. But even if it was, we have the right to feel it, because hate is part of the human condition. And I could give a shit if Meghan's feelings get hurt. You're not obligated to have to tolerate such a horrible human being. And given her track record, it's not like we're criticizing this woman for no reason. And let's talk about some of those examples, beginning with a child. 3-year-old Princess Charlotte, a toddler at a wedding fitting, reduced to tears by an adult who couldn't stand not being the center of attention. Who bullies a 3-year-old and then rewrites the story to make herself the victim? Who looks at a child's tears and sees opportunity? It's grotesque, and yet people still defend it. They call it a misunderstanding, stress, cultural difference. No, it was cruelty. And it set the tone for everything that came after. Not only abusing the generosity of the royal family, but also abusing the palace staff, inflicting psychological harm onto them. This ungrateful "see you next Tuesday" then cried that nobody asked if she was okay, despite everyone bending over backwards for her. And what does she go and do? She then says, "I quit," and runs away to the United States. Then in 2021, we all got to see the demon that we were dealing with when she went on Oprah, all the while knowing Prince Philip was dying in the hospital. There was nothing courageous about that performance. The fact that it was calculated, as well as, in the sense, cowardly, because she knew the family couldn't respond. She knew that they were vulnerable, so she struck and smiled for those cameras. And let's not forget that even after trashing the royal family, she goes ahead and steals the Queen's childhood name, the only thing that the Queen owned. Talk about disgusting. You look at all the other stunts, faking the New York car chase to trigger Harry's trauma. Do you think she was thinking about Harry's feelings? The worst, I think, about all of this with this woman is making the Queen's deathbed about herself, pulling attention and chaos when the family needed peace. William, Sophie, Edward, Andrew, Catherine. But all of them were denied the final moments of the Queen's life because of this bitch. And despite Meghan being responsible for causing the majority of the family to miss out on such a significant moment, Meghan then proceeds to pester the king for those royal titles for children that nobody's ever seen. As if Charles didn't have enough to deal with becoming king overnight while having to deal with at the same time just losing his mother. She didn't care that the timing was inappropriate. She didn't care that the optics looked bad. All that mattered to Meghan was enriching herself and getting that control. And it didn't stop there. This ghoul just couldn't help herself and managed to steal the one private moment that was meant to be just between the king and his late mother in receiving her at Buckingham Palace. And the attacks kept on coming. 3 months after the Queen passed away, what do Harry and Meghan do? They go and mock 70 years of the Queen's legacy and sold it all to Netflix. And let's not forget all the backhanded PR attacks and Omid Scobie writing Endgame and accusing Catherine and Charles of being racist. All the while sitting back, watching the Sussex Squad amplify that message to sow discourse online and in the world. All the while taking advantage and exploiting vulnerable people like dead children from mass shootings, using them as the backdrop for improving her brand. Exploiting injured veterans, fire victims, refugees, parents who lost their children to suicide. Every human tragedy Meghan has managed to take advantage of and exploit and use to virtue signal. all the while profiting in some way from it. But the one thing that I find truly disturbing and disgusting about Meghan Markle is how she exploits and uses Harry's dead mother. Not only with dressing like her, but also her mannerisms, as if to psychologically toy with Harry. It's very creepy and quite disturbed. But what she has done with that was used it as a weapon. She dismantled Harry's bond with his brother. She helped sever the ties that Harry had with his father. And worst of all, she's managed to strip him of himself. That's not love. It's all about control. Isolation masked as devotion. Harry's trying publicly to make it look like he's a man of freed. But what he really is actually erased, cut off, emptied out. Living proof of psychological abuse disguised as partnership. Meanwhile, her online army, the so-called Sussex Squad, wages her dirty wars while she keeps her hands clean. Harassing critics, bullying survivors, silencing anyone who speaks up and calls out the hypocrisy. They call it kindness, but really it is nothing but intimidation and censorship. Real people have been doxxed, threatened, driven offline, all the while she preaches mental health. The hypocrisy isn't subtle. It's literally in your face, and she knows it, and she enjoys gaslighting everyone. I mean, it's quite sadistic. And through it all, this woman is a pathological liar. Lying about her childhood, lying about her pregnancies, lying about Megxit, about car chases, racism, rejection, all of it. Each version of the story shifts to fit a particular narrative. It's not memory loss, folks. It's all strategic, it's all intentional, and it's called marketing. In all this chaos that she has created, she didn't do this alone. Remember, you have the alleged family in the background. What did they do last week when Meghan's name wasn't in the headlines? They fabricated this earthquake trapping of Thomas Markle Sr. And we saw how that turned out to be a lie, all to keep Meghan's name in the headlines, just so she could get to this week to pull this stunt, which will carry us over into New York to where we'll be distracted again with them coming here and pulling another stunt. And sure, I understand that just by talking about her is giving Meghan what she wants, and that is some type of relevancy. But I see this a little bit differently. I think it's important that we continue to keep talking about Meghan in a way that shows her for who she really is. Because if we stop reminding people of the horrible things that she has done, she's going to be able to succeed in rewriting this history. And everything that we all have gone through, especially the royal family and the Queen, would have been for nothing. And my position on this woman is, no, you don't get to be an asshole and everybody just accept it and move on. This is not behavior that we want to normalize. This lack of decency and cruelty should not be accepted as normal behavior in society. It's why the hateful Marxist radical left, like Meghan Markle, have lost their sense of decency. Now, the one thing that I want people to understand here is that Meghan doesn't care that she's being called insensitive for posting this video near the place where Princess Diana passed away. She did that with intent to not only gaslight the public, but also to trigger Harry. The world knows that that tunnel is a sore topic for Harry. The fact that his own wife would be so cruel to do that just shows the level of hatred that she has not only for Harry, but his mother, as well as the rest of the family. And it's not the only instance where we see Meghan shows how she truly feels about Diana. There have been several instances now where Meghan has completely disrespected the memory of Harry's mother to make it all about herself. Let's go ahead and count the ways working backwards. How about Diana's birthday this year? Meghan launching her as ever whatever wine, fully knowing that Diana was killed in a car crash due to a drunk driver. And it's not shocking that Meghan would take advantage of all this press, whether it be good or bad, to then go ahead and drop the latest addition to her as ever whatever shit brand. Whether it be to suppress all the bad news and backlash, or it is to purposely seize the attention while she has it in order to hawk her stupid crap. And here's what makes Meghan even more of a shitty person. Rather than humbling herself and recognizing that, yeah, maybe it was offensive and issuing an apology, she doubles down to take advantage of all the attention that she's getting. Like, nobody wants your shit, Meghan. Anyway, I digress. Or how about Meghan having The Cut publish this article the day before the 25th anniversary of Diana's passing with this attack on the royal family? This photo is oozing malice. Like, you look at it too long, you'll have nightmares. The crazy thing about it is that you can see that she did this with Diana in mind. Yeah, as we look back and we reflect, I think the biggest mistake the Queen made was allowing this demon into her family. Yeah, I think the devil worked extra hard to get that bitch in there. We've seen Meghan turn suffering into strategy, her victimhood into currency, and Harry, the one that she claims to love and protect, is the one she's ultimately destroying with intent. This isn't misunderstanding. No. It's pure malice and hatred. And every excuse made for her by all these people surrounding her gives that malice more room to grow. And as I said earlier, once cruelty is normalized, it's not going to stop. What it does, it metastasizes like a cancer. It devours everything decent left. And that's what Meghan is doing. If you can't understand after seeing this video why the world despises this woman, then you might be also part of the problem. You see, these kind of people, like Meghan, are nothing but parasites on this earth. They offer nothing to humanity. They have no morals, no integrity, and certainly no honor, and nothing to be respected for. This is what I call a useless eater. Do me a favor, everybody. In a world filled with all these narcissistic Meghans, try and be a Catherine. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I just wanted to get this off my chest because I think that this was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I think it's important people remember all the horrible things that she has done up until this point to show you that, oh, this wasn't an oopsie, or I was just filming outside of Paris. I don't see what the problem is. The final thought that I'd like to leave everybody with is that we don't have to tolerate being gaslit by this woman. It's okay to say that you don't like Meghan Markle based off of all the things that she has done in the past. Any reasonable person who has a small amount of decency would see that this is not how we want people in society to behave. From my perspective, there is absolutely no obligation to be accepting or tolerant of this kind of behavior. I don't care what color Meghan is. She could be black, white, yellow, purple. Doesn't matter. The way that she treats others should be reciprocated back to her. She needs a taste of her own medicine, and it's simple as that. Those are just my thoughts. But what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!
Such a fraud.